ensuring everyone can meet their basic needs and live with dignity. Let's review about SDG 1.
All right, welcome to The Explainer. You know, the world has this massive to-do list, and right at the very top is a goal so huge it sounds, well, almost impossible, right? Ending poverty for everyone, everywhere. But how in the world do you even start to tackle something like that? Today, we're going to dig in and find out by seeing how this giant global plan meets reality, all through the story of one nation's fight. Okay, so here's our game plan. First up, what is this goal really? Then, what's the global strategy for actually making it happen? From there, we'll put that plan to the test with our case study, Pakistan. We'll look at the perfect storm of challenges it's facing and the specific tools it's using to fight back. And all of that is going to bring us to the big one. Is a world without poverty truly within our grasp? All right, first things first. Let's really get to the heart of this mission. Before we can even talk about solutions, we've got to understand the goal itself. This is the foundational item on humanity's shared agenda. I mean, just think about that for a second. It is a huge, almost impossibly ambitious question. It's the kind of thing that can feel totally overwhelming. But you know what? That's exactly the question the United Nations set out to answer with its Sustainable Development Goals. And this, right here, is the world's official answer to that massive question. It's called Sustainable Development Goal 1, or SDG 1 for short, and it's really the bedrock of the entire 2030 global agenda. The mission is simple but profound. End poverty in all its forms, everywhere. And I want you to really lock in on that last part, in all its forms. Because see, the UN gets that poverty isn't just about money, or the lack of it. It's more like a trap, with all these interconnected walls. It's hunger, it's discrimination, it's not having access to education or decent healthcare. It's the constant fear of being wiped out by a single disaster. It's what experts call a multi-dimensional problem. And this is a really great way to look at it. We have two different lenses to see the problem. On one side, you've got this really stark black and white number for extreme poverty, trying to survive on less than $2.15 a day. But then on the other side, you get the much bigger picture of multidimensional poverty, which actually measures what people are being deprived of, things like education, clean water, healthcare. And the whole point of SDG 1 is to fight poverty on both of these fronts. Okay, so having a big goal is one thing, right? But turning it into a real, actual plan, that's something else entirely. And that's where the global playbook comes in. So they broke this massive goal down into specific targets. You can think of it like a 5-point plan. Step 1, completely get rid of that under $2.15 a day poverty. Step 2, cut all other forms of national poverty in half. Step 3, create social safety nets to catch people when they fall. Step 4, empower people with rights to resources so they can lift themselves up. And finally, Step 5, build up resilience so that a single disaster doesn't push them right back down again. So that's the blueprint. Now let's see what happens when that blueprint meets the messy, complicated real world. And for that, we're going to turn our focus to one country, Pakistan. Now, Pakistan jumped on this early, making the SDGs its official national agenda way back in 2016. And for a while there, things were looking up. The country was making real progress, seriously cutting down poverty. But then, after 2018, everything just hit a wall. And then it started going backwards because of a series of absolutely devastating shocks. To really get what happened to all that progress, you have to understand the sheer scale of the storms. We're talking both economic and climatic that have slammed into the country in just the last few years. And wow, this is the result. Today, somewhere between 95 and 97 million people, that's around 40% of the entire population, are living in poverty. I mean, that is just a staggering number, and it represents a tragic reversal of years and years of hard-won progress. And a huge piece of this puzzle, climate change. The catastrophic floods back in 2022 caused an estimated $30 billion in damages. And this wasn't just about destroying roads and buildings. It completely wiped out the livelihoods of the rural poor who depend on farming just to survive. And this is so important because it shows how these crises just pile on top of each other. The floods didn't happen in a vacuum, They crashed into a country already struggling with crazy high inflation that makes basic food unaffordable, really deep-rooted multidimensional poverty, and a national debt that just squeezes the government's ability to fund social programs. It is literally a perfect storm.
Okay, but here's where the story takes a turn. Because despite these totally overwhelming challenges, Pakistan isn't starting from scratch. It actually already has a pretty sophisticated and targeted toolkit of policies on the ground designed specifically to fight poverty.
So let's connect the dots here. Remember Target 1.3 from that global playbook we talked about, the one about creating social protection systems or safety nets? Well, this is actually Pakistan's strongest area. And Pakistan's answer is a program called the Benazir Income Support Program, or BISP. This is the country's main social safety net. What it does is it gives cash directly to the absolute poorest families, usually through the female head of the household, to help them cover their basic needs. It even has these conditional payments that give families extra money for things like sending their kids to school or getting regular health checkups.
All right, next up. What about Target 1.4? That's the goal of empowering people with equal rights to economic resources, basically giving them the tools to build their own way out of poverty. This is where the country's really robust microfinance sector comes into play. You have organizations like the Pakistan Poverty Alleviation Fund and another one called Aquat that provides small, often interest-free loans. It's all about empowering people to start their own thing, a little tailor shop, a food stall, giving them a direct path to economic independence.
And that brings us to the final and maybe most crucial target, building resilience. How do you protect the most vulnerable people from the exact kinds of shocks, like those floods we mentioned, that can trap them in poverty for generations?
For this, Pakistan's main answer is its National Disaster Management Authority, or NDMA. Its entire mission, from early warning systems to coordinating relief efforts on the ground, is directly tied to shielding vulnerable people and helping them get back on their feet when disaster strikes. You can think of it as the institutional shield for Target 1.5.
Okay, so this is where it all comes together, right? The central tension of this whole story. On one side, you have the right tools, the right frameworks, the right ideas. But on the other, you have these overwhelming structural forces just pushing back with everything they've got. And this quote, it just nails it. The country has the right ideas and the right structures in place, but any progress is being fundamentally blocked by these massive economic and climate crises that are often way beyond its immediate control. The bottom line is this: the plan is there, but the storm is just raging. Which leaves us all with this final and really tough question. When a country has the right playbook but is facing a perfect storm, is ending poverty still a realistic goal, or does it become more of a distant dream? And, that's a question not just for Pakistan, but for the entire global community as that 2030 clock keeps on ticking. Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.
Thanks for your time to learn, earn, and lead. This is Mohammad Zishan Awan, Advocate High Court. To join Vision 2047, please register with us and be part of the transformation.